This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Forget the frustration of picking commerce platforms when you switch your business to Shopify, the global commerce platform that supercharges your selling wherever you sell. With Shopify, you'll harness the same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tech, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/tech.
Welcome to Accelerate Your Business Growth, where we're exploring all sorts of business topics. Experts from around the world join me, your host, Diane Helbig, for a conversation where they share their expertise with all of you. Take what you need when you need it. Featured on Inc.com, Forbes, and MSNBC's Your Business, this podcast is recognized as one of the best podcasts for small business, sales, leadership, social media, and more. When it comes to business, Accelerate Your Business Growth has got it covered. And now on with the show. My guest today is Terry Bean. Terry has a tremendous passion for helping others get better connected to what they seek. He takes time to uncover people's needs and leverages his network and knowledge to see them fulfilled. Terry spends most of his time as a business growth strategist, sought-after speaker, and corporate trainer. Additionally, he spent 15 years producing TEDx Detroit. Thanks so much for being here today, Terry.
It's a pleasure to be here with you. Thanks for having me.
I am thrilled to have you here. We met, I'm trying to remember how we met. Was it on...
I think it was through the one and only Frank Egan.
That is what it was. Yes, sir, Bob.
I think it was.
Exactly right. He's great at connecting. And
he is better connected. He is, right? For sure.
Yeah.
Love that guy.
Yeah, I know, me too. So that's what we're going to be talking about, getting connected. So who would you say we should be connecting to first? If there is
ourselves.
Oh, what does that look like?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people have skipped the step of doing the work as to who they are, who they want to be, what everybody's talking about, let's live our best lives. But if you haven't sat down to figure out what your best life actually is for you, you're really missing out on a premier opportunity to go out and live out loud and on purpose.
Wow, so that makes a lot of sense to me. Now, why does it matter, I guess, in in being a business person, being a salesperson, being out there?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think once you're really connected to who you are and what you're about, you shed all of the veneer and the masks that so often we wear. You become really comfortable in your skin. You live your authentic or true self. And then the right people kind of just show up. So often we spend time doing business development, just spraying and praying, hoping someone will talk to us. And when you flip that on its head, like I said, the right people are kind of attracted to you, to your energy, to your vibe, to the person that you can be if you're out there being you.
All right. So, and is this something like the better I know myself, the easier it is for me to understand other people?
Oh, goodness. So I've said for years, Diane, and I love that you picked up on that. Once you go deep enough into who you are and what you're about, the deeper you get, sooner or later, you're going to find me and everybody else. Right. The Get Better Connected is actually kind of a subset of this philosophy that I have, that we are all one. Right. And so from a philosophical or a metaphysical bent, we really are. But if we're not doing the work to figure out who we are and what we're about, we're not going to come to that conclusion. So I didn't mean to take this into woo-woo land straight away. But, there's a lot of truth to it. And I think if the people that have sat with themselves long enough really know that to be true. So yes, you gotta connect to self first, no doubt.
Um, I'm trying to figure out how to ask this question. How do we do that? I mean, some of us are really introspective and really, I think, pretty well grounded in who we are. But if we're not, how do we go about really figuring out who we are and what we're all about?
You use the key word. To me, the best inspection is introspection. And so we have to take time to ask ourselves tough questions and really sit and wait for the answers to emerge, right? The whole why are you here thing, maybe that's the advanced level. But for starters, right, what am I great at? What would I love doing? Where do my passions lie? How can I earn money doing those three things, right? What's the intersection there? What makes me happy? What bums me out? Those questions become really, really important. And not at just the surface level to pay lip service to, but to really dig in. And this is why journaling becomes such an important practice. This is why meditation becomes such an important practice, right? It gets us grounded, is another word you used, and it brings kind of this harmony into our sense of being that radiates from us and to other folks.
Yeah, you definitely feel that connection and it's like, that attraction thing. Um, I'm curious about how this relates to getting better connected to like who my ideal client is.
And that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
How many, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, that is the thing. I mean, people are listening and they're going, yeah, but how does
Yeah,
this
but
happen? Yeah.
yeah, but why or how? Tell me how, man. Tell me how.
Yeah.
So we've all heard the phrase, the riches are in the niches.
Yeah.
And for a lot of us, and I mentioned the whole spray and pray thing earlier, if you really do the work to know who you are, you're going to know what you like, you're going to know what you enjoy. And all of a sudden, if you're selling into a vertical or into an industry that specifically taps into those areas of passion and joy and expertise and interest, it starts to feel less like work and starts to feel like things you already enjoy doing. So when we can dial in to that piece, we can show up more frequently, more consistently, and more ready to network, to more ready to serve, more ready to sell. And those things are really, really beneficial from a business growth perspective.
I say, okay. And what about now? I think one of the things people struggle with tremendously is connecting with people online. So, what insights do you have around uh, best practices, I guess, for making that not horrible and actually successful?
I love that. And so that part is also informed by this inner work that we need to do. Because once you've done that, you have an idea of the things that inspire you, the things that you find humorous. And you can put those pieces of content, things that inspire and things that are funny, out into the world. And that's a great way to attract people. I tell folks all the time, if you are looking for a strategy to build social media following, use inspiration or humor, whichever. Type inspiration or humor into Google, type your specific industry in, and start looking at the images, especially on the humor side, that actually relate to your industry. So if you're in real estate, if you're in insurance, if you're in car sales, if you're in mortgage, if you're, selling manufacturing solutions, there's going to be a gazillion different jokes already done. You can start putting those pieces of content out, not every single day, but once or twice a week, that are going to make people smile. People love to laugh, especially during the workday. So that starts to attract an audience. when you've got this inspiration piece, right? Those soft little quotes that we all seem to enjoy and find joy in, you can put those out and those drive people to your audience. And then for the flip side of that, the engagement side is when we start sharing our truth. Who are we, right? Who are we not only at work, but at home? What about our kids? Or what about education? Or what about sports? Or what about food we like? Those things all matter because they help us form common ground, and common ground is the foundation of all good relationships. And then we kick it up a notch and get into story selling. But I'll let you talk since it's your show.
Yeah, but I really, really like that for so many reasons. One, I think humor is underrated. It is so valuable because it's so connective with people, and you're not selling. It's not salesy. It's comfortable. It's relatively easy, and it does help you. It helps your community find you, really, because they then connect with your messaging, and they want to know more about you, and then you get to know more about them, right? So
That's key.
yeah, yeah, right.
That's the key. And humor is interesting, right? Because of all things, there's not much more that's more subjective than humor.
Yeah,
So what I find funny and what you find funny are, of course, going to be exactly the same, but maybe the next person might not laugh as much.
yeah,
But that's okay. I tell people all the time, video is such a great tool for folks because you can't really fake it on video.
yeah.
And I want to show up on video just like I'd show up on a podcast, just like I'd show up in your office or in your boardroom or at a huge event. So you're not surprised, right? I don't want to find out when I get there that you don't like me. I want you to not like me straight away. I don't want to waste anybody's time.
Well, and the other side of that, this keeps like ringing in my head. The other side of that is we have to be okay with not engaging with people where we aren't feeling that resonance, that's okay too.
Have you ever fired a client, Diane?
Yeah.
Was it like seriously the best day of that week or not?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, yeah,
Right.
it sucks because you're like, okay, I guess I'm just throwing this income, this revenue out.
Right.
But goodness, what a great trade that is. And it always frees up space for better clients and better opportunities.
Always. Yeah, you don't think so in the moment, but it always does. Now, let's talk about connecting with our employees. Are we using the same methodology, or is it different?
Well, it's because it's face to face in real time often, even if it's over video, because obviously remote work's a thing now, or even on the telephone. We really have to do our best job of listening and asking good questions. And I've been doing this communications thing for a number of years, and I haven't settled the argument in my own head, which is more important, actively listening or asking really good questions. But they're both like number one and 1A. I'd love to know if you have an answer for which is more important. Which do you think?
I think they go hand in hand. I don't think you can do more important, because if you're not asking meaningful questions, then you're really not getting to know the person. And if you're not listening to what they're telling you, you're not getting to know them. So,
I love that. And so when I teach people how to network more effectively, which I've been doing for a while now, I use a phrase and a construct I call after you networking. And the big idea there is to let the other person go first. And it's really valuable for a couple of reasons. Number one, you get to know who they are and what's important to them and what really matters and all that, which is great because when it's your turn, you get to actually relate your story or your pitch or your 60-second commercial or whatever more specifically to them. And then you also get to find out what kind of person they are, because if they don't take the time to listen and ask questions and be mindful and pay attention, you know that you don't necessarily want to spend time with them. The same thing can be really, really true with our employees, right? Allowing them to go first and being interested instead of worrying about being interesting becomes really, really valuable, because when people know you care about them, they're much more ready to care about you and your goals and your initiatives.
Yeah, I love that, especially because in so many organizations, employees they don't feel comfortable speaking up. They don't feel comfortable speaking at all because it's usually their superiors who are doing all the talking and they're, I'm the note taker sort of thing. So encouraging them and making sure that they are going first is empowering.
It's so important. And I've said for years that the kiss of death in any company is the phrase, well, this is just how we've done it.
Yeah.
Right. That's great. Well, it's not the 1940s anymore, so you're gonna have to do it differently.
Yeah.
And I really, as much as people complain about Generation Z or even millennials in the workforce, they're driving real change and making an impact, because they're not putting up with the same BS that, you and I are probably really close in age. So I'm a mid to early Gen Xer. And we put up with some crap, but we also rebel a little bit by nature. So it certainly isn't the same work environment that our parents worked in. And, I look at my 21-year-old daughter, there certainly isn't going to be the same work environment that I worked in when she's fully off and on her own.
It's so true. I know. I feel the same way. I think we have to pay attention to the fact that it's a different world. Different generations have different needs and ideas, right? And companies are better when people feel comfortable sharing their ideas without fear.
It's unbelievable. It's so funny to me, because you look at how most organizations have been run with that top-down mentality.
Yeah.
You've got people sitting in ivory towers and boardrooms making decisions that affect people that are on the front lines and are on the street doing the job every single day, and not taking feedback for what actually works in the field. How dumb is that? How short-sighted? What else are you missing out on?
Seriously, so much, so much. That's where the ideas are. That's where the improvement is and the innovation. And
100%.
yeah, yeah. But you have to be, speaking of knowing yourself, you have to have a pretty strong ego to be able to have those conversations and listen to other people and not feel like you're the one who's supposed to have all the answers.
It's amazing to me. I think leadership these days is beginning to finally realize that leadership's about being of service, right? It's about being there to empower and to embolden and give pats on the back when necessary. It's not there to just point your finger and say, this is what you have to do because I said so.
Right.
And really smart, savvy leaders already know that, and a lot of others are figuring it out, because the change in employment, if when it's an employee driven market like it still kind of is today, you're just going to lose good people, and nobody wants to work in that environment.
Exact, and they don't have to.
They don't have to.
Yeah.
How many times do you hear stories about the guy that was treated poorly by his manager, went to the competitor down the street, and then just absolutely ate their lunch all day, every day, man? Like, do better, people. Let's go.
Do better. Do better.
Do better. Be better. Do better. Know better. Come on.
be so great. Well, Terry, I love this conversation, obviously. And this is really valuable information. This is one of those episodes where I feel like, we listen to it a couple of times because there's a lot to digest and embrace and try. So thank you so much for that. Will you tell the listeners how they can find you, please?
Absolutely. I am hidden in plain sight at trybean.com. That's trybean.com. Years ago, I wanted a Hotmail address in the mid 90s, and Terry Bean at Hotmail was taken. So they suggested a bunch of random numbers. And I said, what if I just drop the E and the R from my name, Terry Bean? Hey, try Bean. Not only is that clever, it's just really good advice.
Yeah. I love that. Oh my gosh, good for you. And thank you so much. As I said, I appreciate you. And listeners, thank you. You are who we're doing this for. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Accelerate Your Business Growth, a production of Evergreen Podcasts. Discover more episodes of this podcast and explore others at evergreenpodcast.com. As always, continue to prosper and be curious. And if you're looking to get your sales strategy headed in the right direction, pick up a copy of Succeed Without Selling on Amazon or wherever books are sold. Until we meet again on another episode of Accelerate Your Business Growth, goodbye and good day.
Imagine how fast we could solve the world's biggest problems if more SaaS startups would gain traction sooner. Welcome to the Tech Entrepreneur on a Mission podcast. This podcast is dedicated to sharing experiences from B2B SaaS CEOs who are going above and beyond to deliver change that is noticed. You will hear their secrets and learn what is required to build a SaaS business that the world starts talking about and keeps talking about, and how to overcome the roadblocks to do so.